You're listening to Wisdom of the Ages, the show that taps into the many expressions of universal, ancestral, and personal wisdom to ignite evolutionary consciousness.
Hello, this is Ayn Cates Sullivan, one of the Superpower Up hosts, and you're listening to Wisdom of the Ages. So are you ready to put on your wings of wisdom and dance with the higher source? If so, if you're ready to move today, you're going to love this show because we're going to be exploring movement and dance. So last night I went to sleep and I was thinking about this very profound quote by Linda Foster, who's our guest today. And it goes like this: "You must learn to think with the body, to listen to it, and to live with it in harmony." It's a profound thought. So when I woke up, I realized, or maybe I remembered, that in each moment, we can choose to live in alignment with our body and our mind and our spirit, or not. Which do we choose? What are we choosing right now? So I would like to introduce one of my favorite people on the planet. Linda Foster is a former dancer, a dance educator, and choreographer, and is known by some as Italy's high priestess of fitness. With a deep love of classical Pilates and mind-body integration, she is hailed by some as the premier body stylist of Rome. Highly creative, she has also choreographed live dance events such as Water, Fire, Roma, which we're going to hear about. So I'm very excited to discuss the wisdom behind healing with movement and dance. And I hope by the end of the show, we'll all be up and dancing. So Linda, welcome.
Thank you, Anne. It's wonderful to be here. And hello, everyone out there.
So I'm excited about this today. I have a lot to learn about body, mind, spirit integration. I feel like our culture somehow has over the years divided us. I think there is this revolution taking place, and that somehow the mind spirit's been really important, and the body, the earth, the feminine got left behind. And so I'm really excited about what we're going to discuss today about the alignment of body, mind, maybe heart and spirit.
Yes, mind, body, spirit, and the heart. Yes. In fact, it's so important. Growing up in the country, I always needed to move, and I loved to run and dance. It was just in my blood. And as I think many dancers feel that way, that you just have to dance. And I've seen that in everyone, in the people that I teach, the people I work with. Some of the people who are the most reticent and afraid of moving or don't feel like they have a relationship with their body, gradually, step by step, if they can learn to feel comfortable in their body, they can learn to move. And there are many ways to dance. It doesn't have to be classical. It doesn't have to be perfect. But you have to feel in harmony, and there's rhythm, and it's your rhythm. And that's the point.
So what inspired you to become a dancer?
Well, as I said, it was sort of in my blood, but when I was very small, I went to visit my cousin Lorena in South Carolina, and she was studying dance, and she showed me, she was dressed for her rehearsal in a pink tutu, and I thought it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life, and I wanted to be a ballerina. And so I remember in about the second grade, our teacher, which I thought this was a great exercise for children. She says, draw two of your dreams, your dream of what you want in your life or who you want to be. And I drew a black horse rearing on his hind legs and a woman in a tutu on her toes dancing, a ballerina. And I've had both of those in my life. So I guess that guided me. But so I would dance and dance. I remember I would dance on the front porch with my best friend doing I think it was called the mashed potato, I don't know. But even before that, I talked my mother into taking me to tap and ballet classes in my hometown. And there was a teacher there from the university, the local university. And I went to take tap and ballet, and I was thrilled. So between the ballet class and the bar and the tap dancing, which I can still remember the little steps, tap, tap, pa, pa, pa. There was a free dance period. Oh, and that's when I felt really, really alive. And so then I convinced my mother to buy me the second year to buy me a pair of toe shoes. Now I was only about 4 years old, so we go to the next year of dance class opening, and I go in with my little chest. I still have it, a little round thing with all my tights and my leotard and my new pink toe shoes. And the dance teacher says, "Well, Linda, what are these toe shoes for?" I said, "Well, I want to dance on my toes." She goes, "But you're 4. You have to wait until you're 8. Oh my goodness. I still have no, I don't have those toe shoes. But at any rate, I didn't get to dance on point. But it was part of my dream. So one thing led to another.
I hear the shoes are a little better now. It's probably better you didn't dance on point.
Oh my goodness.
But how did you get from dance to Pilates to mind-body integration, mind-body stretch? Tell us about this process.
Well, I was only able to dance in my little tap and ballet classes for a few years before the teacher graduated and went away. And there was a period when I danced for myself. I made up dances until I went away to I always wanted to major in psychology. And at the same time, I was taking dance classes there. I was a member of the dance company there that's called Orchesis and still is. And I danced and loved it. I had wonderful teachers. We did great technique and Cunningham and everything. And there was also a choreographic part where we could create dances. And I created my first choreography my last year at William & Mary. And by chance, but maybe not by chance, I chose a very abstract piece of music by an Italian composer. And that was my first choreography, which I still think was valid. And it was called They Hear, They See, but they don't feel. And so it had to do with just what you mentioned about being cut off from the body, people reaching out but not quite making it, not quite breaking through the physical barriers between one and another, which is a psychological barrier. So I had to choose at the end of my my college career what I wanted to do. If I wanted to go with a more advanced degree in psychology, but I knew that was if I wanted to dance, I had to do it while I was young. And so then I moved to Boston, where I had the wonderful opportunity of working at a place called Sunlight House, which was a residence for blind, and I put in parentheses, retarded adults. But many of them were perfectly functioning adults. And because they were blind, they had enough money to be able to stay in this wonderful place, which was in Situate, Massachusetts, which was run by the Massachusetts Institute for the Blind. And I was a resident there. I lived with them and learned so much from them. And while I was working there, I was dancing in Boston, and I had the opportunity, 2 incredible opportunities. One, working with these wonderful people at Sunlight House. And then I auditioned for California Institute of the Arts. And
oh my goodness.
My great surprise, they took me. And that was I was launched at that point on my dream. And psychology was put aside. I said, when I'm older, I'll get an advanced degree in psychology. But later in our conversation, I'll explain to you why I never felt I needed to go to get an advanced degree in psychology. I mean, it would have been great, but I also knew that I was working to help people to integrate their mind and their body and to be sounder in their mind and their body through movement and many different types of movement.
I mean, it does sound like, we're going to find out how you were and are actually behind this fitness revolution that we're all a part of, I suppose. So yes. Where can people find out more about you and your courses, your personal retreats, your dances? Where is there a website people can go to?
Yes, there's a website, and I'm building the website now. It's www.lindafostermoves.com. And there are many different things you can find out of what's going on. You can find about the teacher training courses that I teach because, as you know, I have from dance. I also work in fitness, and when I came to Italy, I sort of followed the course or the path towards fitness for a while, which has been and still is wonderful.
Okay.
But it's all parallel with dance.
Let's return back to that in a minute. We're going to take a break, and then we'll come right back and we'll continue on with this fabulous fitness revolution.
Wonderful.
Okay. So we'll take a break.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Don Rekla, Executive Director of Superpower Experts, and we want to thank each of you for making Superpower Up the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter, we now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. Our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz. And as Neva Lee Rekla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wisdom of the Ages podcast show. You can find out more about the show on Wisdom of the Ages, superpowerexperts.com. And so today we're talking with guest Linda Foster, who teaches classical Pilates and offers instruction in mind-body spirit integration. She's also an amazing choreographer and all sorts of other things we're finding out about. So welcome back, Linda.
Hello. And it's great to have a conversation with you.
Oh yeah, I feel like I have so much to learn about body, mind, spirit. I mean, when I was at university, my background's more academia. Everything was about the mind. We were completely focused on the mind, and at the expense of the body, and even in some ways cut off from spirit. And so it seems like as life has gone on, it's been really important to. I mean, wisdom is one of the names for the goddess, actually. And yes. So wisdom includes the body, and also
wisdom is in the body if we listen to it.
It's the body, mind, spirit. Wisdom is the body, mind, spirit. So it's perfect that we're talking about this today. So now, I saw an Italian magazine. I think I don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe it was Il Mattino.
Il Mattino, which means morning.
Aha. And it quotes you saying, "When I began, not only did this profession not exist, even the concept of fitness was unknown. So today it seems like another planet, and we're undergoing a kind of fitness revolution." Now, when you're talking about this profession, I'm assuming that means the body-mind revolution.
Fitness, movement, yes. Mm-hmm.
So you showed up in Rome somehow. Okay, so we have to back up a little bit. How did you get from California to Rome? What happened there?
Well, I finished at Cal Arts. I graduated. I was dancing. I danced with an incredible choreographer, a fabulous opportunity, Donald Byrd, who is doing incredible things now. If you can ever interview him, please do. And doing my own choreography. At a certain point, I took a break from dancing and worked in the film and television industry for a while in production. But I wasn't really happy. I needed to be moving and creating more. And parallel with that, I just had an interest, almost not an obsession, but just a calling to go to Europe. But I wanted to go to Italy because I had seen articles and things about the beauty of Rome, the beauty of Italy in general. And I needed to come here. So I I was working on a film movie for Lorimar Productions, and I got a call that they were looking for aerobics teachers in Italy. And I said, well, that's right down my path. And I gave them a call and said, I'm an ex-dancer. I've been working out and I love doing dance aerobics and I'd love to come over. So they had flown somebody out to Italy and I talked to them, auditioned, and I came over to Italy and began my sojourn here. So at that time I was still dancing and I was doing dance aerobics, but very much dancing it. And I taught for years and years at a dance center where there were professional dancers. What I found in Italy was that the people who were teaching, and there was so much excitement about this, it was a real growth industry, but the teachers were incredibly well trained in physiology and many things, but the practical part was lacking. So people were excited to come and learn the moves, let's say, to start moving and dancing and sweating and getting into a zone and really into a flow. And so I had quite a following, and then I was called to start doing teacher training programs, and I toured around Italy doing teacher training programs of dance aerobics. And then I worked with the Federazione Ginnastica d'Italia when the Olympics first recognized aerobics as a demonstration sport. They had to train their 12 people to go out into the country and train the rest of the people. And I helped them set up that program. Then going on from there, I was still dancing. I was still teaching modern jazz at the same center. And I went skiing then, met my cousin Emmett in Switzerland to go skiing. He's an advanced skier. I'm not. I fell. I twisted my knee.
Oh, no.
And that had something to do with me following more strongly the fitness direction than the dance direction, because I had this injury and life chose for me there. So I began one of the very first personal training agencies maybe in the country. And I think that's where so much of the interest started there, when they wanted to learn about personal training and why was it that people would want to work one-on-one, and why, and I started an agency and sent my trainers to people's homes. There are people who had followed me in my courses. I created a training course for them in-house. And then this just sort of grew. And then I opened my first center where everyone was saying, well, no one's going to leave their home and come to you to do this. And in fact, they did. It was a great success. And then years later, I opened my center, which is called Moves. Linda Foster Moves, Mind, Body, Personal Training, and Cultural Arts. And it was interesting there. I think some of the great interest in that point was that the site where I had my palestra was an old, and again, horses come into everything, it seems like. It was the old carriage house of a beautiful palazzo in the center of Rome, right near Piazza Navona. Uh-huh. It was a beautiful luogo. We did photography exhibits. We had other things. And people were excited to come there. It became the in thing to do. But at the same time, they were getting very quality work. And I remember noticing how many people would come in, and it seemed to be more women, who, when I did their it's called the anamnesi sanitario, when I asked them certain questions about their state of their health, so many of them were taking antidepressants and things like this. And I was thinking, this is a tragedy. But some of them would do personal training. Some of them would follow the dance exercise classes. And I would see people coming out of themselves, being happier, being more concentrated. And a lot of the press was interested in what we were doing there. It was different. I treated it with an intellectual approach in the sense of I never think of fitness or wellness or movement having just to do with muscles or the body. You have to intellectually involve people as well. They have to think. In fact, this is something that I'm also a Pilates teacher, and this was maybe one of the reasons I was so attracted to Pilates, apart from the fact that I find it has many parallels with dance, is that Joseph Pilates also said you have to teach the body and the brain. People have to think, you have to remember, you have to challenge them to be present and participate in the training. But at any rate, in all of this time, I've worked with some of the most extraordinary people and things that they have. One of the things that has stayed with me, I recently had a birthday, and a woman who was a student but has become a lifelong friend also wrote me an email and said, Linda, I want to thank you for helping me to feel comfortable in my body. And for a woman, there is no greater gift. And you do that, you give that as a gift to people. You guide them towards being comfortable with themselves in their body. And that really registered for me. It's something that I noticed also. There are cultural differences that are physically expressed when I work with people. When I teach an American, they want to go, and check that. But they don't like to be touched very much. And when I teach Italians, they're a little bit more softer about it. Now I'm doing a very broad, exaggerated. Everyone's different, but and they like for you to touch them, help them feel where they're feeling things, and that. And sometimes they have to be pushed a little bit more. But there is a mind-body connection that everyone can find. So I try to lead people to find their style of movement, what they feel comfortable in moving. And you have to work hard, and you have to be, you have to sweat. You have to move the body. You have to make physiological changes that actually happen in movement. One of the books that sort of, as I've mentioned many times, in my percorso, which was, my percorso means pathway, that I don't always feel like I fit. I chose it. It was just there. I knew I had to move, and opportunities that showed themselves. But I found that science keeps supporting all of the things that instinctively I knew and was applying with my clients. And one of the books that really changed things for me and for thousands of people is called Molecules of Emotion by the scientist Candace Pert. She was a woman studying the mind, the body, the brain. And what she found was that there are molecules of emotion. They're neurotransmitters. They're the endorphins that are so famous now. But one of the interesting things she found that endorphins are not just produced in the brain. They're produced in the heart. They're produced in the gut. And, your gut instincts and that sort of thing. Really, the whole body is a brain that's thinking all the time. We have to, if we don't stand up and move and use it, we lose contact with it. And that's unfortunate. So
I think that's why in like some of the indigenous cultures, when they're doing their spiritual rituals, that they get out there and dance together as a culture.
Human beings have danced from the time of the Stone Age. There are drawings of people moving. All cultures have danced. All in every culture, it expresses their culture through dance. And even today, even young people, they have their way of dancing. We had ours. Your generation had your way of dancing. And then there are the dances that carry us along: classical dance, modern dance, and expression. If you just think about Pina Bausch and what she was able to express in her choreography, sometimes the minimum of movement. But one movement of a hand or an arm or a turn of the head can say everything in a certain context. But anyway, I found in my journey also that movement does heal. And the science shows that too. It heals on so many levels, particularly with children. There's another book called Smart Moves by another a scientist named Carla Hannaford. And when Carla was young, her school wanted to put her into a special ed program. They didn't think she was quite up to snuff. And her mother just said, no, it's you that don't understand how she needs to learn. Well, to make a long story short, the woman went forward and got her PhD. And in her research, she just studied that learning is not an isolated incident in the brain, but that every nerve and cell is involved in learning and intelligence. And she created this system that's called Brain Gem. And at the end, I'm going to give you a little preview of that, something that can help, because certain movements that she discovered stimulate different parts of the brain. There's a crossover effect. We all know about the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body and vice versa. But it's really, really important to stimulate this sort of thing. And dance just seems to be magic because it uses all parts of the brain and the body together. And there are studies now in the schools, particularly in Europe. I know in Finland, they're suggesting that they should introduce dance into the curriculum because it helps so much with it distills negative view of the physical self, and it diminishes competition, reduces motivation. Not all children are happy in a context where it has to be movement that's competitive, like sport.
I think it's really pretty brilliant, this idea that instead of having children sitting in chairs all the time, staring at computer screens all the time. They're not even using their hands to write anymore.
Exactly.
I think script's been taken out of the school, and I know with the school that I went to, we were allowed to sit on the floor cross-legged, and some at the Waldorf schools, a lot of times they'll let the kids move because some children need to move in order to align their body, mind, spirit. So tell us more about that. Yeah,
absolutely. They're learning pathways. Some people are kinesthetic learners. Some people are auditory learners. Some people are visual learners. Children sometimes who close their eyes and the teacher thinks they're distracted, maybe they have to close their eyes to take in the information.
Yeah.
Some children, you change them to a different position in the room and they'll be able to learn better because they simply have to look in a different direction. Mm-hmm. Movement is so important. And so the University of the Arts Helsinki, they've done some of this research. And so they're thinking about using dance because it prevents so many mental problems. And so it excludes social exclusion in children and teens and that sort of thing. So it's time, there's a problem with bullying out there. But also just in my work again, I've worked with people from 13 years old, young adults, up to 80.
Wow.
And I wanted to tell you a little bit about my friend and student Tatiana, who was originally from the Ukraine. Now she's 80 years old. She started training with me when she was 70. We just had our anniversary recently. And Tatiana had been an opera singer. During the Second World War, she was basically had to be taken out of the country because her mother was being sent away to a encampment. I don't have all the details. And her aunt was able to basically smuggle her to Canada, where she grew up. And she won a scholarship when she finished high school. And they said, what do you want to do with your money? She says, I want to go and study canto. I want to go and study singing at the Academy in Rome, Santa Cecilia, which she did. And she's still here. And she had it. And she was an opera singer. And then when she retired from that, she She worked at the Vatican Radio, translating all the programs for the Ukrainian community. She had many health issues, and she was terribly overweight. And when she came to see me, she'd been working on this for years, but she was still very, very large and not happy with her body. And she happened to live nearby, and she just came by and said, I'm interested in what you do. Do you think I could try? Of course. Well, year after year, 2 times a week, Tatiana has come. She's had setbacks. She's been frustrated. But what's happened, to make a long, lovely story short, is that all of her doctors, her cardiologists, she had pre-diabetes before, her dietologist, they say, what are you doing, Tatiana? Apart from walking up, like many Italians, up and down 5 stairs a day for 50 years. She says, I do Pilates. And her cardiologist said, Pilates at your age? Well, you must have started when you were young. She says, well, yes, I started when I was 70. And he goes, oh my goodness, it's amazing.
I love it. So it's never too late.
Are going backwards. They all say you're younger than you were when you were 40. People don't even know her. But she said to me, Linda, I felt all of my 70 years when I came to you, and I was losing hope. And now I feel young again. I feel comfortable in my body again. I want to do things. And she never skips a class. I'm moved by this, and that's why I do this. And yes, she moves sometimes as a dancer. Of course, I know that coming from the dance, I teach it maybe with a different point of view, but I want people to feel the flow, to feel the connection. And I love working out hard. I mean, to the max, but not everyone can do that. And
that's a question too, is that, some people really like to work out hard. I have actually both of my sisters really like to go pretty full tilt with their trainer. I'm really somebody who would much prefer yoga and stretching. But I mean, how do we go about choosing a personal trainer? How do we know when we're with the right person, someone who's really helping us?
That's a great question.
Do what Tatiana, so we can improve as we age. How do we do that?
Well, I think number one, you have to realize that if you're going to change your level of fitness and wellness, you're going to have to go outside of your comfort zone. But you have to be able to find a personal trainer or a teacher or a dance class or a group fitness class where it's something that stimulates you like. But you're going to have to do it like you have to brush your teeth. I mean, it's essential for so many parameters now for wellness, for cognitive to diminished cognitive decline, just for wellness, to make sure you don't get diabetes, which is rampant now. All of those things for inflammation in general, you're going to have to stress yourself a little bit. I often see, and I have a huge respect for yoga, love it and love doing it. And then I have an approach to fitness that's called mind body stretch that has elements of dance and yoga and Pilates and all those things that I teach in it. But you're going to need a personal trainer, if you're going to talk about a personal trainer, has credentials, who studied or has a certification. If the person, I always suggest that people interview their trainer, not just let the trainer interview them, and ask them questions that are important to you. How will you help me do this? What sort of program? You don't have to go into a long dialogue. However, if that person asks you about your state of health, what you know about it, what hurts, what doesn't, what makes you feel better, and then puts you in movement the first day immediately and sends you home feeling better than when you got there, take that trainer seriously. And then it's going to have to be a trainer who can guide you. It can push you sometimes. I mean, I've had people get really upset with me, but I don't think they ever doubt that I have their best interest in mind as far as what I hope they can do. And you have to a trainer has to be able to help people believe in themselves, be stimulated by what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And a trainer needs to treat their clients with utmost, as though they're very intelligent human beings that want to understand why this is happening without just giving a lecture demonstration. They have to make you move and at the same time give you the basic information about what's happening, the physiology and this, because it's interesting and it makes it more fun. So if you like yoga, you could maybe also try Pilates, because Pilates, there are many different styles of Pilates now. I like classical because it has an order, and it progresses you, and it can turn into really athletic training. It helps to center the mind and body, and I found again and again, even for weight loss, or for people, women in particular, have difficulty losing weight when they're going through menopause. You have to get your mind and your body in alignment there. So many times I've seen people, I'm going to have to go to the gym and work out hard 5 days a week and all of that. Whereas if you come 2 days a week, you work really deeply, you can get very, very good results. And this is, I could go into the modality, we don't have time, but something that you like, something that makes you feel like you're having to go a little bit out of your comfort zone. You're always trying, you want to feel like you're making effort. You want to feel revitalized when you go home, not dead. I think that's important. And then step by step, what happens is the body, I've done some seminars. I'm not a dietitian, and I don't pretend to be, but I've done some seminars, groups getting together that want to lose weight. So then I can do lots of things. I can talk to them about strategies for doing this, and increasing vegetables and fruits and basic things. But it's the group setting that helps people have the courage to go forward. However, when people are working out and they're working out hard, and it has to be measurable results. So again, your personal trainer has established strategy for measuring the results. So I suggest you need a trainer who's going to ask you what your goals are, short term, medium term, long term. They can explain to you in some way how we're going to get there, and how are you going to measure that? Do they do your body fat measurements with a glycometer, or do you do something else? Do they send you to a doctor or whatever? And I do that, and then after a series of lessons, we redo the measurements, and it's always like, oh gosh, what are we going to, oh dear. It's almost always good news. And if it isn't, it's good news anyway, because it gets people back on track. Mm-hmm. And so I don't give diets. I don't give that, because when the body begins to change, the body starts telling you what to eat. Mm. Then my students, or my clients, or I like to call them, my students, friends, they ask me about eating. I give them some direction, and if they really need a program, I'll send them to a dietitian or a dietologist that I think is, or I give them information online. But food is not the problem. Food's the solution. You just have to, your body, when it's being trained and when it's getting healthy and when you're starting to listen to it, will tell you what to eat, and it's going to make you choose cleaner food. And when you eat greens and clean food, you can eat lots of it and you don't have to feel hungry. So it's a win-win situation. Anyway, I noted the body always tells you what it needs, and that's why I say listen to it. And then
I was noticing on your website that there are some videos that we can go and watch. You're described as one of Rome's leading you do body sculpture, so people know you as
body
that.
Stylist. That was
body stylist. That's right. I love that.
I love it. Yeah.
If you're somebody like me and you would like to style the body a little bit, sculpt, then we could go onto your website and look at some of your videos, or maybe I'd like to come on a personal retreat with you.
Yes, I do occasionally organize retreats. Just coming to Rome is a retreat for a lot of people, and then my studio moves and work out with me with classical Pilates, but also going out into nature is really, really important. And because nature heals and the body finds balance in nature. And when people are saying, well, you know, Pilates and yoga don't burn calories, depends on what level you are. If you always stay at a very easy sort of level, but as you progress, and your trainer should make you progress, you will be burning calories. But walk. Just walking stimulates so many centers in the brain. It calms you. You intake oxygen. You can do power walking, or you can do burst training. I love doing burst training. I'm not a runner. When I was a kid, I ran all the time. I just ran. I was like a horse. I was always playing like a horse all the time. So that was cool. But I find something about the rhythm of walking, the arms swinging, not swinging wildly up and down. That's just false. But just swinging from the shoulder, the abdominals in and up. Your legs are swinging and you just go. You have a cadence and you walk and you walk. And in nature, it's wonderful. Or there's so many beautiful parks in Rome. So I like organizing something where you can have people working out in nature, outside, under the pine trees, at the beach. So many teachers that have trained with me are doing Pilates out. They move down to the seaside in the summer, or they, you know, it's one girl, they have a studio in the mountains in the Piemonte, and they actually work out when it's good weather on the lawn, but they can see the mountains. And I think it's so important also, turn off the TV, guys. I love walking on treadmills. I mean, I get in the zone there and I just go. You can also dance on a treadmill, but that's a whole nother question. But listen to music, visualize, or look out a window. Look for a center if you're going to a palestra or a gym or fitness center. Find one that has windows that sometimes you can open that you can see outside. And choose one that has a few treadmills or elliptical trainers or whatever that don't have a TV set in the front. And just allow yourself some calmness and centering while you're doing that, because that's the secret to mind-body integration. Breath, feeling your body, centering, being able to control from the center out. But I think I just got off a little bit.
It's actually great. This was so helpful for me. I want to go out and walk now. I know my mom and I talk about taking our green healing walk down by the river. Yeah. And it is, I mean, you're breathing in, you have the in breath, and then the out breath. That's what actually centers us in life and helps us to become present. So I completely agree, but I don't want to run out of time. I want to. But
I just want to say this.
Go ahead.
When you're walking, you have to keep going. Mm-hmm. You can't keep taking breaks. You must go and get out of your comfort zone and keep walking. Even when you're tired, keep walking, but not just stop and go and stop and go. Excuse me, but that's
okay. Well, just actually one thing that's practical is if you're in that going, if you're really going. Now, would you say you need to do at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? How long, if you're going to take a walk and, you know, like a good pace and swing your arms, how long?
Any amount of movement is better than nothing. One of the good things about aerobic training, which we need for our heart and blood pressure and that sort of thing, is it's accumulative. You can do 10 minutes of aerobic activity in the morning, 10 at night. But I don't like that. So let's say if you, beyond 12 minutes, you're going to get a training effect, a cardiovascular effect. Ideal
12 minutes.
About 20 minutes, but not less than 12. Of course, if you're starting from scratch, people can't go out there and just kill themselves, you know.
Right.
You go gradually. You start with 10 minutes. You go up. When you've gone by 12, you're going to get a training effect. I find that 20 is really good, but when you're out walking, you're probably going to go without even thinking about it for 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. But sometimes people don't go out for a walk because they don't have an hour. And everybody says, you got to do an hour and you got a good heart. No, you go out and do what you can for that day.
And in that 20 minutes, would you do the burst training? So you maybe walk kind of slowly and then maybe walk a little more quickly and build up your heart rate.
Training.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The impact is also good for the joints.
Mm-hmm.
There's research that shows that if you do little jumps, as long as you don't have problems with osteoporosis and things like that, talk to your doctor. But jumping 10 jumps a day, thump, 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 10 jumps helps keeps your bone and your joints strong. So burst training, because it's impact, it can be walking really fast, start, but it can just be getting that and doing a flat out run as hard as you can and then walk again.
Okay.
Run, and it can be 30 seconds. Then maybe you get stronger. Maybe you'll be running 2 minutes. But it's the fact of just peaking the heart rate for a moment. Again, everyone, check your blood pressure. Make sure you don't have any problems, that you don't have any silent problems, and so forth. But it's very, very important, aerobic activity. Also for cognitive decline, it's very important because it helps you supply oxygen to the brain and to the whole body. But there's something else that's so important in healing. It's just not about aerobic activity or anaerobic activity. We also need strength. So weights are important. Pure strength. But again, you can do that even in a Pilates class or in yoga. There are positions that create a lot of strength. But you want to move, you want to be aware of what you're doing and not just put on speakers or a television so that you don't have to feel discomfort. Sometimes everyone runs away from feeling the body when they're working out. It's just too much. Oh gosh, this hurts. I got sore muscles. Oh, sometimes it's going to hurt before it gets better. It's kind of like homeopathy, Sometimes you take your homeopathy if you're into homeopathy, and sometimes the symptoms get a little bit worse before they get better. Well, it can. That's
the envelope effect.
But it's sometimes we have to open up. Think about what people go through in physical therapy sometimes after an accident. Physical therapist, and I'm not trying to get somebody to work through pain. If it hurts, generally I say don't do it. There'll be a better way to do it. But if you have some muscle soreness afterwards, that's good. You don't want to work with inflammation. You don't want to work in, particularly if you have certain diseases, if you have arthritis, when you're in a flare-up, you usually want to work. And then you can do mind body stretch.
Right. But push you're saying push the edge. Don't do something that's going to hurt you, but just see if you push your edge a little bit where that takes you. Is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Without being able to be very precise about it, that's exactly right, because we want a training effect, and the training effect creates miracles. And there is no regimen. The modern, really new age, and I'm not talking about new age is not the word, but the research that's supporting 21st century medicine is about movement and I'm losing my English, and diet and what you eat. It's hard to say which is more important, huh?
Well, they both are, right? So
they're both. One supports the other, absolutely. And we're starting to talk about medicine as prevention instead of just curing the damage we've done over the years. Absolutely.
Prevention is the way to go. Longevity. I mean, we are living longer and longer, so we want to take care of these bodies. The other thing that I noticed, and I want to get to your water fire, Roma, but just the last question here is, I notice when I'm working out that, especially if I get into a difficult move, maybe I'm really working my belly or something, I sometimes will have these.
I've lost you, Ann.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, good. So I'll notice that that maybe I'll have a very strong feeling or emotion or a memory that comes up. So I'm assuming that the body really retains.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is such a thing as muscle memory.
Right. Muscle memory.
There's also a training effect that's called creating an engram. And that's why I like the repetition of certain, and then I'll get back to your specific question. But one of the reasons people mind-body integration is that when you do work out and you work out regularly and you work out with a goal, precision, concentrating, centering, all of the things we talk about in Pilates, is that your emotions will come out, and that's healthy. That stimulates your immune system. What stimulates the immune system, the research shows, just isn't just positive thinking, because if it's fake, it can actually have the opposite effect. It's living your emotions in the moment, whether it's crying or getting upset, or whatever. That's going to give you the stimulation. That's going to stimulate. So if we don't move our muscles, we're animals that have to move. If we don't move our muscles and our muscle memory, just maybe we lose that. We lose our tactile sense. We lose the ability, like dancers, to have eyes in the back of the head. It's just simply being your sensory perceptions are increased with movement. Now, there's also the thing called the relaxation effect, which is really important, because if anything I've learned from working out, it's the 100%, which I love, to mind-body stretch, is that you've got to have the time, particularly in this high-stress period. And I work with a lot of managers, men and women. People are high stress. They're running around, but even kids are, even teenagers are now. You have to be able to lay down and feel your body, center yourself, and gradually moving through a series of movements mindfully. You can break up tension and tissue. You can realign your body. And when you realign your body, you're always talking about realigning your mind, your heart, your mind, and your body. It's all one thing. I don't go into it so much. I don't have to tell people. I have to let them feel it experientially. I can't think in English. They have to sense it with their senses. They feel it. And you see people calm down. I can hear their breathing. But I have to remind them that we have control over the breathing. So you take a breath and you let your heart rate calm down. Or you do a big breath and you up your heart rate because you need it. But gradually, your trainer, and I as a trainer, I try to help people be sensitive to this sort of thing. So when you have some pain or something, ask yourself, am I feeling my muscles? Is it a stretch or is it pain? If it's a pain, don't do it. But sometimes you have to learn what are the limits. I don't know if that's responding to your, but you remember many things, of course. It will take you back to many experiences. It's like smell or like sounds. They take you back 10 years and you're back in another time and space, which is great.
Oh, it's true. And I do believe our body has incredible wisdom, and I have learned over the years more and more to listen to what my body's telling me. I have a ways to go also, but and it does feel that it's very important because we're so stressed out in this world. There's so much activity to also take time for not just the out breath, but the in breath, and that they need to be, that really activity and balance need to be in harmony. And so that, I think that's really, what you said there is really profound. And animals, they run and then they relax and chill out, probably more often than running. But
when they need to, they go. See, however, because they have the fight and flight instinct, right? So for an example, a horse has lived for millions of years as a species because they see movement probably better than any other animals, and they are flight animals. They can't be caught. That's their salvezza. So we don't want to put them and block them in a stall all the time. But we as human beings, we live in a constant state of fight and flight. And what does that do? It increases the stress hormones called cortisol. Cortisol is the base of inflammation. Inflammation is the base of almost every sickness that we have now. And simple things, aerobic activity lowers the level of cortisol. So does the relaxation effect, which is Herbert Benson discovered that years and years ago. That's an old book from the 80s of studying also in the Orient about what actually happens to the body when you relax. And what I have seen in Mind Body Stretch is that people cannot stand it. Laying down in the beginning, they're nervous. What am I supposed to do? Tell me what I have to do. Nothing. Breathe. And after a while, they realize that they have control. We have to be able to run on command versus training, and we have to be able to relax on command. And that's something that's learned training, like everything. So in Mind Body Stretch, now what happens is I'll have people, instead of skipping their lesson, they'll come and say, Linda, I've had it. I'm full up to here. I can't take it. Can we do stretching? I go, oh, yes, because it's a lesson that I don't demonstrate. I participate, and then I look at them and everything, so they don't feel they're looked at, they're not stared at, they're not judged. And I've seen incredible changes, but what's important is that they have a strategy to not skip their lessons, to not ignore their body. And they'll finish and go, oh, I needed that. This is so important. We have to do this, right? Of course, they say that often about most of the training. It's because they're listening and their body tells them. The hardest part of training, by the way, Anne, is just showing up for the training.
Right. Okay.
And then promising yourself, just say, I'm so tired today, I'm going to only do 50%. I guarantee you, if you give yourself the okay to not push too hard, you'll automatically start doing more because it comes naturally.
So again, it's the listening to the body wisdom, which reminds me of the dream last night. That in every moment that you can choose to be in alignment with the body, mind, spirit, or not. We have that choice. Are we going to do that? And heart, of course. But I want to hear a little bit about water, fire, aroma, and your choreography, because if looking at your website, it looks like not only people weren't just sitting watching this dance, they were actually participating in this dance. Can you tell us more about it?
To some degree. Well, they had to sort of follow around because it was a site-specific work, and the creativity in me, I'm not a dancer. I don't do it anymore, although believe me, I dance around and a whole lot, and I love to do it. But technically, I like to work really technically, and I had incredible dancers. But the beautiful site was along the Tiber River. And it's in an area between two bridges that's exactly the size of Circo Massimo. It's the only rectilinear aspect of that river. And I'm very grateful to Kristen Jones, who found this and founded Tevere Eterna, who was one of the sponsors of this thing. And if you ever have a chance to go see Tevere, Piazza Tevere, it's called, please do when you're in Rome. Barnaby Evans has an event in Providence, Rhode Island, that's called Water Fire, that really completely made the city, renewed the city, because it had been cemented over, and this is a whole nother of my things. Anyway, he brought the river back to life, which made the city come back to life. And they brought, and he was invited over to do Water Fire on the Tiber. And so in the middle of the river, there are these huge baskets that he made that holds it's a pyre. And they were all along this long track, very, very long. When you look at it, if you walk it, you can't believe it, but it's longer than a football field. It's very long. And so I had 10 dancers. Barnaby said, what would you like to do in this area? And my imagination just went crazy as usual. And I saw these scenes of how the structure itself gave me the ideas and the fire on the water. And so I did various acts of choreographies, some along the banks of the river. And then for the first time in like 500 years, somebody entered into the oculus of the bridge Sisto. It's called Ponte Sisto, one of the oldest bridges in Rome, and danced there. It was backlit. So it was participatory, because at one bridge, there were dancers who were suspended in rings. That took courage, and they were beautiful dancers, not acrobats. They were technically beautiful dancers moving this ring suspended over the water, then the flames, and then my dancer was at the end in the oculus. So people had to move. Their attention was drawn here and drawn there, and they sort of followed the action through it. It was a wonderful experience for me. And I think it was a great experience for the city, because when you go down to the banks of the river, one of my choreographies, one of the acts was called Dreaming the River, which I was thinking about the creek when I was a little girl and how magic it was. Did involve, because we invited some children that were watching to come in and actually participate in the last few minutes of it. And I was on the other side of the river in the direction on the lights and everything, and I couldn't see it as close as I would like to have, but from a distance it looked wonderful. And so I do like to have people who, they want to be near dance. Like when it's outside, I notice that people come in really, they want to be close, and then somebody's going to take them away because we need movement. We need space to move. But it's the lovely energy, shared energy there. And I have some other projects in the works that I just, I hope to come to fruition soon that are also site specific. And
this sounds incredible, because of this sort of dancing, you're enlivening. I can just imagine it. I wish I was there, but I did watch the video. I think it's on your website. And
yes, that you can see on the website. Yeah.
Yes, that was so inspiring, because I thought, my gosh, we could go out in our community. We're not going to just always sit on our computer here, but we could go out and dance together, or put a dance together. And
I love doing flash mobs. I love doing flash mobs. I've done flash mobs at the University of Rome. I've done flash mobs for 1 Billion Rising against violence on women on the Spanish Steps. We had hundreds of people.
What is a flash mob? Exactly. What is a flash mob?
It was called 1 Billion Rising. And it's
right.
Every 14th of February on Valentine's Day. This was developed by Eve Eisner, who wrote the Vagina Dialogues.
Right.
And it's a brilliant concept. You can't fight violence with violence.
Exactly.
You dance it, because for women to be comfortable in their bodies and dance. And so hundreds of countries, in the Philippines, even in some of the Arab nations, women were trying to dance a little bit, and all over the world, starting in Australia, there are these flash mobs. They're pre-choreographed. It was choreographed by the woman who choreographed Fame, to tell you the truth. Very simple but powerful. Then all of us, when we lead the flash mobs, we put a little bit of our own in there. But I can tell you, the force, people want to dance. They're embarrassing. And at a big conference at the University of Rome called Aero Informs, they were all there with people into informatics and everything. We finished the night with this big flash mob. And you wouldn't believe the people who ran up there and wanted to take part. And they just were improvising, because there's no right. Wonderful way to finish into dance. Wonderful way to bring people together. Flash mobs are just super. They're a flash, last for a little bit. You don't have to get a lot of permission, all of that sort of thing.
You just get up and dance. You don't have to be perfect or look perfect or be a certain age or
how to dance. You just get up and dance.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So I mean, are you going to do any more of these? Do you have one scheduled? I heard something.
Well, we have. And the projects are, I've worked on a project that's called Second Mellow Launch that it's based, it's a transformational thing. The transformation is that this beautiful painting that I saw is just filled with movement, and it's done by the American artist Ayn Cates. It was so powerful that I just wanted to move. It just made me want to move. So I thought, well, multimedia, we could do digital projections of the painting. And
wow.
And then all kinds of ideas came out. I don't want to. It's like giving away the punch.
So we have to come to the event. So you think it's going to be sometime in 2020?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping that there might be a presentation in Italy, but most certainly there will be in the United States. But I can't give you the exact time and place now. But I'm hoping to realize this. It's going to be again 5 acts, different choreographies. It's about juxtapositions of time and space, but it's all based on one painting.
Wow. That sounds like that's incredible. I really want to come to it. Would I look at your website to know, like, do you have an events section or something on your website so I could?
Yes, again, on the website that we're building. So if you go to my website and there's some pages that say not available yet.
Okay, so this will probably be
events, absolutely, so that people can follow along with what's going, maybe see some rehearsals, and and I always they're little. Some of them are really old from my history, but valid. A few there's some segments on abdominal exercises. There's some segments on simple stretches, and I will be trying to update that and have a more interactive sort of thing going on so people can get more information there. And then there's also my Linda Foster Moves Studio Monty Facebook page.
Okay.
And once in a while, I'll put up a little video there that's, and in fact, the hookup that I wanted to share with you, you can have some photos of how to do it on Facebook.
Well, we probably should get to that. I could talk to you forever, I think.
There's so much.
There's so much, and maybe I hope we'll do I hope maybe as Feek and Mellow launch, as we get close to that performance, we could do another show. And
that would be cool. I'd love that.
So I would love to have you back on when we're ready to go with that, because it sounds really exciting, and I really love pulling communities together. So So today, though, do you have something, maybe a stretching sequence or something that people could do right now, just something really short?
Well, yes, I wanted to teach everyone the hookup, and this comes from Hannah, the Smart Moves book again. It calms you. It helps you. Before a job interview, an exam, it's very centering, and it's physiological. It's not just a woo woo woo. Really, something happens to you, and we'll have to do it together. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
So you need to stand up.
Okay,
comfortably. Then you need to put the backs of your hands together. Then cross them so that the palms are facing one together, and then close your fist and place that on your chest. Okay, so back of the hands, you cross them. It's sort of uncomfortable. Then you're going to cross it and put that on your chest, on your breastbone. Okay. Then while you're standing, you cross your ankles. You can have both feet flat on the floor. You can just be touching on one side, but you're going to have crossed hands that are on your chest and crossed ankles. And you just breathe. And we want to stay in this position for about 3 minutes, which is going to seem like an eternity because we're not used to being so still. Another thing that happens is you might feel you're going to fall over and lose your balance, but that's okay. With practice, you'll be able. You just want to stand straight, breathe naturally. And it's fun as you get used to doing this to close your eyes and just breathe from your nose. We're not running a marathon. You don't have to do some sort of heavy breathing. Just breathe. And just what you will probably feel is like you're sort of swaying in the wind like a tree. And I describe this as that the crown of your head is pulling you up towards the stars, towards the universe. But we are grounded deep into the earth through our feet, to the very core of the earth. So what it feels like, particularly with your eyes closed, is like you can feel the whole earth turning and you're just there riding it around. And you stay with this sensation, whatever might be happening. In the beginning, you might get distracted. It's okay. There's nothing you have to really do but stay in this position and breathe. And feel your body. Then after about 3 minutes, you unhook your hands and you unhook your feet and you have a wide stance with your feet and you inhale your arms up towards the ceiling and exhale down. And inhale up and exhale down. And that's the hookup. And what happens is it stimulates the right and left parts of the brain. And Hannaford chose it as a strategy for children who have attacks of ire or who have short attention spans. And because it would give them a strategy to use, they'd hook up and just stay there a few minutes, and they'd be able to calm down and deal with whatever they had to face at that moment. So it's wonderful for concentration, for just calming you before any sort of stressful situation, students before an exam, or when you just want to feel calm and centered. You can also do it, but I think it's better standing. And if you have troubles with balance, just lean up against the wall and do it anyway. And there's some photos of this, or maybe I'll do a little video of it and put it up on my Facebook page if you want to see, if you want to do it with me.
That would be great. I'm feeling, I do feel more aligned. There's something that happened doing the exercise. Maybe it's taking that moment just to have an in-breath and an out-breath also, but I felt an alignment between, actually, I think it was like the lower half and the upper half of my body. It was really lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. Because that's an unusual position. It's not a natural position. Mm-hmm. So it upsets the neurological system. It says, what's going on here? And all those messages are your neurons of emotion are running up and down, and the body is in constant conversation. We just listen to it.
That's beautiful. The body is in constant conversation, and we just have to listen to it. That's it. We have this choice. So we're going to stay in alignment with body, mind, and spirit or not. So I'm afraid we're out of time, but we're going to come back and talk more later about the dancing. I can hardly wait to do the next show. So people can go to lindafostermoves.com. Do you want to say anything else about your website?
Just that there's going to be more information put up, absolutely, about how to be in touch. I'm going to put up the bibliography that I used to create Mind Body Stretch, because there's some books, there are about 10 books, some old, some newer, that had a great impact on me. They're not about movement necessarily, but research, and keep up to date. There's so much information online also, and on Facebook, again, lindafostermoves.com. Excuse me, that's my Facebook is Linda Foster Moves Studio Monti. And you'll see my studio in Rome. And there's a lot of information about my teacher training programs, because I'm a master instructor of Pilates. And we have all levels of training going on for people who want to become teachers, workshops for teachers who need to renew their certifications or get, and just workshops. And I am also this is important, I'll be offering a teacher training workshop in Mind Body Stretch. It's just 2 days. But it's something that's really very, it works really well for personal trainers, for people who teach dance or Pilates or even yoga. It's different, it's to music, and it goes from passive to more active, but it helps people learn to relax on command and to feel their body.
It sounds wonderful. I'd really like to do it. I hope I can meet up with you and do a personal retreat. I'm really inspired now. Ready to go.
Good. Well,
yes.
I'll definitely let you know if I'm going to do that, and that'll be on the site and we just have to choose mountains or ocean or where, or the hills of Virginia. We'll set it up all over the place.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your body, mind, spirit, wisdom. That's incredible.
The opportunity to share.
Yay. Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone who has joined in. And I hope everyone's up and dancing now and excited to find their personal trainer and also meet up with Linda, maybe come to a dance.
That's right. Just put on some music, your favorite song, and get up and dance. Oh, you'll have a good time.
Absolutely.
Everybody, put up yourself dancing on Facebook and say, hi, Linda.
I love it. I love it. I'm ready to turn on some music and dance right now.
Right.
So thank you. Thank you. Okay. And so to be continued. So you've been listening to Ayn Cates Sullivan, host of Wisdom of the Ages. If you want to look at my books or find out more about Infinite Light Publishing, please visit AynCatesSullivan.com. So until we meet again, may wisdom reveal its secrets to you, one message and perhaps one dance at a time. Thank you.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the superpower quiz today.